Alright lads, it is Goblin here. Today we're talking about the possibility of whether multiplayer could work in an Elder Scrolls game. Now at the end of the day guys, we are just talking about it. I'm not saying it's a good idea, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I might obviously express my opinion, but it's just my opinion. It doesn't have to be your opinion. You can criticise me into the ground if you want to, but don't do it like a knobhead, you know what I mean? So, let's get on with it. So I'm going to split this video into like stages, and as we go through the stages, the development of multiplayer, the possibility of multiplayer in the Elder Scrolls game is going to be more significant and basically bigger. So the first stage is, first of all, it won't, like, they could make a spin-off multiplayer game. It wouldn't be, be Elder Scrolls 6. It would be a spin-off game functioning more like Borderlands. Borderlands is, what is it, 4-player kind of cooperative role-playing game. They could definitely make it like that, open world, just like, obviously the world of the Borderlands games is smaller. Obviously the focus of development on more things, but they could make it a spin-off like that. I'd definitely play that. Like the most like role-playing medieval styled cooperative role-playing games are the top-down ones like Torchlight and Diablo. The only one I can think of other than that is War in the North, Lord of the Rings War in the North, which is an extremely underrated game. I'm going to make a video about that as well. So yeah, there's not a lot of kind of like apart from like MMOs, and not everyone wants to play an MMO. I'm personally sick of MMOs, to be honest. So I could definitely see something like that happening, like a 4-player dungeon crawling Elder Scrolls role-playing game. I mean, I'd definitely play that. It would be interesting. The next level is like, I guess, Fable. I mean, Fable 2. Fable 2 was a very significant single-player role-playing game, but it did go multiplayer. And how it could work very similar in Skyrim. So, say for instance, you sat in your house, you're playing Skyrim, your friend's coming over, and your friends can maybe get bored just watching you play Skyrim. And if you really want to play Skyrim, and you don't really want to play like Halo or something like that, then maybe the same way if the companion in Skyrim could be occupied by somebody, like, so he could randomly connect a controller, or he could do this online on PC, and it could be like a cooperative experience. So maybe like not, well, it would have to be split screen, I guess. And like in Skyrim, how there's a set of followers, perhaps you control those set of followers. So the followers have a set amount of skills, and you can choose those followers. Perhaps they have like 3 skills, so it could be like heavy armor, 2-handed, and restoration, and that's literally all you've got as your temporary character. And you just log in and play with your friend as the player 1's companion. I think that could it's just like a little small feature, so that you can enjoy playing Skyrim with your friends. The next stage, I've kind of lost count. We're on stage 3. We're on stage 3. This is my favourite concept. I've thought about this quite a lot. Basically, you've got player 1, you've got player 2 with their own separate worlds, and player 2 could connect to player 1's world. Okay, player 2 has certain quests completed, certain quests uncompleted, certain things going on in his world. But it wouldn't matter, because he would be playing a player 1's world, so he could re-experience the content that he's already played, play content he hasn't played, and then do it differently. And he would be playing it with his friend, with player 1. Now the only issue with this is that, a player, like a level 5 player playing with a level 50 player, that obviously wouldn't work. So I was thinking, obviously, like, so you'd have player 5, say player 2 is level 5, player 1 is 25. When player 5 goes over to player 2, he is scaled. Not his skills, not his anything like that, but just mathematically his damage is scaled, so it's almost like he's playing at level 5 in his own world, but he's actually playing in a level 25 world. This means he could still increase his skills, and it would count towards his character, which he could take back to his own world, and basically would like function like that. I can see, can't see a problem with that. Maybe there's some kind of flaw, Evan, you can tell me about it in the comment section. But I think this would just be a great way to, because this thing hasn't really ever been done before. Like, you have a proper, fully developed, really big MMO with a big world, lots of quests, a lot of stuff going on, and it's also multiplayer, because most multiplayer games are normally smaller, or the multiplayer features are smaller, like they are in Fable and like San Andreas. San Andreas is a big world game, but to play too, you can't do missions or anything like that with your second character, so it's a second player. So I mean, it's very risky, but I think some developers should do it by now, really, because I think a lot of people want to play games like Skyrim and Oblivion and whatever with a friend, and personally I don't see why it would be a problem. Obviously, those games are meant to be a very unique, immersive single player experience, but you know, why not? You can experience that with a friend. You know, you can still be immersed without being with somebody else. The next stage is have an open world server. So you have the world of Skyrim. Let's imagine Skyrim. You have that world, and it's accessible to about 50 people. So there's 50 people playing Skyrim in this big server, and it functions a little bit like not H1Z1, but like DayZ, when that obviously had less people in a server, and it would be a bit more like that. Not like an MMO, but kind of like a smaller, well, an MMO on a smaller scale. So you've got the world of Skyrim. There's people running around, and they're doing quests and stuff, but perhaps the quests aren't exactly the same as the single player game. The issue with that is obviously they would have to focus less time on the single player game to make up for the development on the multiplayer game, so the single player game would have less to it, and at this point you're really looking at a different game. So this could be like some kind of spin-off game. You've got the world of Skyrim, and it functions more like an open world survival game. I think the problem with these sandbox survival games is that there isn't really any main objective. That's kind of like why I lose interest in them very quickly. So I'm like thinking, you know, what the hell am I doing other than just repeating all these kind of things? And when you've got multiplayer in those kind of games, they do get more interesting, like clan battles and stuff like that. So, but like, imagine H1Z1 with actual objectives, actual NPCs in the game and stuff like that. It would just make it a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, and give things for people to do, and people could go out and do these quests, and then they might find people on the way doing the same quest, trying to help the same person, and then there could be a bit of a PvP kind of thing going on. Yeah, so it could work on that kind of scale, but I think the world would have to be shrunk down a little bit, because obviously the world of Skyrim is absolutely huge, and you might not even meet anybody. You might only meet people in towns, and perhaps you can go and kill people like other players in towns, but you'd have to be like, it would be extremely dangerous, because obviously the guards would kill you, and I think leveling would have to be removed, obviously, to make it fair. Yeah, because that would be a bit brutal. Perhaps it wouldn't be such as you would basically only be getting better gear rather than be getting like better levels and stuff like that. Yeah, but so Outspace how H1Z1 works, isn't it? Like you go and get better gear, not better levels, which would kind of remove the role-playing element of the game, I suppose. So really you're not even looking at an Elder Scrolls game at that point. You're looking at somebody else, a different developer with a different kind of concept, developing maybe that kind of game. I mean, I'd definitely play a game like that. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Would you play a game like that? A H1Z1 kind of game, but medieval, but role-playing slightly. Anyway, my name is the Metagoblin. Until my next video, ciao!